As an academic, I'm interested in how particular industries grow and evolve in particular places. And in my background, I've done work on things like the music industry and on festivals and events that have got a really strong connection to local culture in one way or another. And then along came this PhD student I had who grew up locally here in the Illawarra, who was a surfer, and who put to me the preposterous idea that that he should write a PhD on surfboard making.
So my PhD was basically a study of surfboard manufacturing, how the industry worked, where it was located.
I really encouraged Andrew to explore the surfboard making industry initially here in the Illawarra and then further up and down the Australian coast to look at how it was connected to local culture and to local places.
So the book was basically about wanting to understand what we saw as being a fairly unique creative industry. For me, it was about understanding a sort of little known form of manufacturing that I saw as being an iconic Australian industry. So I wanted to sort of document that. But it was also about wanting then to understand this group of workers as surfboard makers and how they carved out a living doing something that they loved.
But when there were no waves, I'd go in the factory and I'd go, what can I do? And in those days, the blanks were super thick and really needed a lot of work done on them. So he'd go, oh, you can cut plan shapes.
And I met up with a guy who taught me actually how to make surfboards. But he was really lazy, and so he'd swing in a hammock and use his index finger, and I'd be in there shaping, and he wouldn't get out of the hammock, and he'd show me how to glass. He'd just point the fingers, and I'd do things, right?
Just spending lots of hours in the shaping bay, and found it very fascinating to watch him be able to manufacture something with his hands, make something with his hands, and it come out exactly to what he said it would go like.
Started shaping boards, I suppose, like most people, because you're just curious and interested. Started out just mucking around in a friend's backyard and made some good stuff, made some absolutely terrible stuff.
But I liked the knowledge and the technicality of design and how the little tiny things are magnified under pressure.
Working with the guys at Gordon & Smith, going through the whole factory from broomstick to right the way through, taught me how to use tools individually.
I just think there's something nice about working with your hands.
People were saying, why don't you start your own business? And I didn't really know what to do. So first week we did about 9 boards, the second week it was about 20, and then all of a sudden we were doing 65 boards a week within a month.
71 I started, I think. At that stage, most people were buying surfboards out of the factory. They'd go to the factory and get one made. Custom surfboards were the big thing.
Now there's machines. Any board can be copied. It can be put on the machine can do 90% of that intuitive work. And then they come out and we call them scrapers. They just finish it off, give it to the customer.
I think there's a lot of guys out there making boards, and a lot of guys that have got a really big reputation now, that are really moving up in the industry, that probably have never picked up a planer.
Hand shaping will never be able to create the volume of surfboards needed for the amount of surfers that there are today.
I've gone from making lots of stock boards through pot surfboards and then trying to maintain that high stock level to supply shops to going, well, that's not what I want to do anymore. I want to deal directly with the customer and just deal with one customer at a time.
I definitely don't think hand shaping's dead. I think in the mass market, for sure.
The shaping machines have made a big difference. They got a lot of bad flack in the beginning. People, oh, they're pop outs of this and that, but they actually make designing surfboards more accurate. You can repeat a board that was successful quite easily. You can do everything you can do. But the hand shaping thing, yes, it was a great skill, a great art, but if you don't need to do it, why do you do it?
I think the industry went so far one way with just this mass-produced stuff, where it's so disconnected from the customer, that people are actually almost shifting back a little.
There's a bit of room for everybody, and last thing I'd want here is to be hand shaping 20 boards a week and then going to glass 20 boards a week. I'd never get out of the factory. So I think small personalised shaping businesses is how I see my connection, and how anybody else wants to do it. I go, hey, sweet, go for it. That's their world, and if they're happy in their world, fantastic.